In this module, I'd like to formally define some terms that we've been using for a while, maybe to add some further detail. We'll define the call, the transaction, and the dialogue. Firstly then, the call. A call is another term for a session, as in the session initiation protocol. It includes all the SIP messages to set up, manage, and terminate the session. All the messages are identified with a common identity in the call ID header. Transactions? Well, in a success call scenario, they begin with a request and end with 0 or more final responses to the request, and include any provisional responses, except for the ACK. Following a success response, the ACK is a self-contained transaction. Now, in a failed call scenario, following an error response, the ACK's included in the invite transaction. It's the ACK now that concludes the failed invite transaction. Now, transactions are identified by the combined branch parameter on the topmost via header and the CSEC method. They're only ever over one hop, meaning that a proxied request actually begins a new transaction. And lastly, dialogues. Well, dialogues are endpoint-to-endpoint relationships. A calling user-agent client may, because of forking, be part of two dialogues, two endpoint-to-endpoint relationships. Dialogues are identified by the two tag from tag combinations. Okay, got that? Well, let's see. Here's a schematic of an interaction between caller user agent and two downstream user agents. Take a look at the chart, think about the definitions, and work out the number of calls represented, the number of dialogues, and the number of transactions. Have a think and press play when you're ready. The number of calls? Well, that's easy. It's just one session initiated by the caller, encompassing all of the messages in the chart. The number of dialogues? Well, there's two, one between the user agent client and the first branch, and another between the same user agent client and the second branch, each identified by their different two tag from tag combinations. Leaving the hardest till last, the number of transactions, I make it 5. Remembering a transaction is only ever over one hop, and that in a success call scenario it begins with a request, ends with the final response, except the ACK, and includes any provisional responses. The first transaction is the upstream invite transaction between the caller and the proxy. All messages in this transaction have the same branch parameter CSEC method combination. Then there's the first downstream invite transaction between the proxy and the first user agent server. Note how, because the final response is a failure response, the ACK this time belongs to the invite transaction. Meanwhile, there's the other downstream invite transaction between the proxy and the second user agent server. Now, the 200 OK success response goes back through the second dialogue, being part of two transactions, and prompts the upstream user agent to return the ACK, which, because it follows a success response, is this time a self-contained transaction. Finally, the outstanding branch is cancelled, the cancelled transaction being the last of the 5 transactions.